Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Black Hills AI webinar, Otto IP for Patents, Notice of Allowance Analysis, and Continuation and Divisional Suggestions. A recording of this episode and the slides will be made available on the Black Hills AI YouTube channel, as well as the Black Hills AI website. Feel free to enter any questions using the Q&A feature in the Zoom menu. We invite you to follow us on LinkedIn and to visit our website to learn about our other webinars. And with that, I will turn things over to Tom.
All right, thanks so much. I'm Tom Marlowe, Chief AI Officer here at Black Hills. Thanks for everybody who's attending and those that are tuning in to the recording afterwards. Quick background, Black Hills AI. We've been in business for over 14 plus years. Focusing a lot on back office automation and more so as of recent the attorney and paralegal side of automation in the IP space. Today, I'm excited to talk about another topic in our guided skills and tools prosecution series. And this one is around the receipt of the notice of allowance. So the first thing that we're going to look at today is the use of some guided skills, some preset skills that we have within Otto IP, one of our AI tools that we have available. And this is going to take kind of a four-part process where we're going to look at the summary of the notice of allowance, some review, generation of action items, and then some more practitioner-focused analysis. So let's take a look at how this works. So first we'll start with the summary. So here is our view into Otto IP. I've got a workspace loaded with a matter that has a recent notice of allowance. You'll see I'm going to go ahead and open up the docx of it so that we can view it and take a quick look. Yeah, here's a notice of allowance. Looks great. Um, to get a quick summary, we've got this Auto AI function here that allows you to summarize this or frankly any item within the file history. And you get kind of a very condensed summary so you can see quickly with a glance what's going on with this document. So we can see the reasons for allowance, some action items, some of the fees, just at a quick glance here. And that's your summary. You could copy and paste that out to report out to a client, use it just to get caught up on the case before you start digging into it. Then we go into our comprehensive analysis. For this, we're going to use one of the guided skills within Otto IP. So again, we go to this tab, start a new session, launch a guided skill. Notice of allowance review is the skill that we're going to be using here. And there's a couple of prompts that exist with this. And in order to get some good context for them, I'm attaching a few files. I've attached the notice of allowance itself, which makes sense. I've attached the recent claims and the spec. So with those three attachments, because I want the tool, I want the AI to use those as part of the analysis, I'm going to launch this initial prompt, which is a comprehensive analysis. You can see what the prompt does. We try to make that very transparent, and we're going to speed through this response, and then we'll walk through it in a second. But this is an analysis, and if you've been on previous sessions, you can adjust the prompt as needed if you want additional or you want less done with it. But this gives you a breakdown of the kind of various things that you might want to be considering when dealing with a recent notice of allowance. A lot of what we're looking at here is compliance and housekeeping related. At the end of the analysis, we have a summary of key deadlines. and an overall assessment, I usually like to start there and then roll back up to the analysis that I'm going to use. After running and taking a look at this comprehensive analysis, we have another prompt which will create action items for us or a task summary. Um, we can take a look at what that prompt looks like. Again, you can edit this before using it. If you like, we're going to use it verbatim and run this prompt in the guided skill. And what this one is going to do, where the last one was more of a high level overview of what needs to be done, this one gives you specific tasks. And as we'll take a look at in just a second here, they're organized by priority. So here's the items that need to be dealt with immediately. Here's kind of your medium priority administrative tasks. And finally, your lower priority and the good to do file completeness types of tasks. So you can use that to kind of drive a checklist to take care of this case. Okay, this is the part where, as a practitioner myself, I find this part a lot more interesting when we get into the custom analysis. This is where we're going to start taking a look at white space within the spec, take a look at what was allowed in the case, and figure out what might be some recommendations for continuation divisional type decisions. So I'm going to start a new session because we're going to use a different skill for this. And this is our condiv claims drafting skill. And with this one, again, I'm going to have to load up the context with the attachments. I'm going to grab the docx version of the notice of allowance, the claims, and scroll down and add the spec. I like using the XML versions. It seems to work well with the AI because it's very text-based and it has no problem parsing them. And then I'm going to use this initial skill, this prompt, to get some analysis and suggestions on additional claim scope that we could go after within the spec. So here's a strategy that's been put together. It defines what the allowed claims are and gives us three areas that are well supported within the spec for claims. And it's going to go ahead and draft some claims and then give me the justification, the support for them underneath each one. Now, would I use these claims verbatim in a new case? No, probably not. But they provide a really nice starting point for me to be able to see some scope that I might want to go after. And from here, I'm not going to do it live, but what you can do is interact with the tool and say, hey, yeah, I like claim 8, for example, but I would like to add this limitation or that limitation, or I'd like to broaden it this way or narrow it this way, and ask it to iterate on the claims a little bit. And with each new version of the claims, you can ensure you can either ask the tool to ensure that there's support or confirm that there's support in the specification with the language and paragraph identification. So you know you have that and can double check it. Now, the other thing that I like to do here, and I've got a matter that has some family to it. If we go over to the left-hand column under file history, we've got the matter at hand, but we can also break down to see the child and the parent for this matter. I'm going to go ahead and go into the parent. I'm going to grab its last claim set. Then I'm going to go into the child and grab its last claim set. And I'm going to attach both of those. And then I'm going to go and give a custom kind of follow-up prompt, taking into consideration the claims from these family members, would you adjust the scope of the suggested claims above? Yeah, always seems weird addressing the AI in the second person like that, but it responds. So what we've got now is an analysis that takes those two sets of claims and adjusts the strategy based on what is already scoped within the claims from the parent and the child that are on file. So now I've got a even clearer picture of some of the options for getting additional coverage on a potential continuation. So I can take some of these area options, go back to the client and discuss with them and determine if these are worth pursuing because we have support for them. Okay, so that gives a quick overview of what we have within Otto IP. And of course, like I mentioned, as you go through, as you're taking a look at the tasks, the initial compliance analysis, this continuation divisional claim scope analysis, if there's a detail that you wanted to see, or a thing that you like to check, or there's an angle that you wanted to go after with the continuation, uh, Auto is conversational, so you can put that in and adjust any of the analysis as you go. Okay, so the next tool that I want to take a look at is related. This one is currently in alpha testing right now. But I want to show you guys what it will look like. And this is an automated document generation triggered when we docket a notice of allowance. So basically, when we're processing docketing, we see a notice of allowance occurs on a file. We have a set of tools that go out, grab the appropriate claims, spec, the notice of allowance itself, family members, the claims from those family members, and they do a similar type of analysis in order to create a notice of allowance analysis package that's delivered in a Word docx document that can be used and referred to kind of in static format when it comes time to deal with that notice of allowance. So it follows a kind of six-part process: parsing and summarizing the notice of allowance, doing some analysis, determining white space, some additional compliance analysis, and finally suggestions and recommendations. Let's take a look. So here's a view in Word. We can see the document itself is broken down with navigation on the left, so you can jump to any piece of it that you might need to. It's gonna be several pages long because there's a decent amount of analysis that you get. And then we get some of the overview of the notice of allowance itself. As we scroll down and into this document, we'll see an overview of the invention, what are the key features of the claims. So a good way to get kind of caught back up on what it is in with specificity that's being protected. And as we scroll down, then we get to a summary of the examiner's reasons for allowance, what prior art they used, a little history of the prosecution, so you can kind of see how things progressed without having to dig through the file wrapper. And then we get to a summary of the claim coverage itself. What are the key concepts? What's the coverage strategy that's happened here? And if you look at the bottom right here, we get amendment history, so we can see how the claims have adjusted through prosecution. The one that we're dealing with here had no amendments to it. Then we go into family coverage. So just like we took a look at in the guided skills portion above, we want to take a look at what kind of claim coverage exists in family members, because we don't need to be pursuing claims that are equally scoped to what we either already have or are already pursuing. So it goes and analyzes any family members for the matter. So after that analysis of current claim coverage and family member claim coverage, then we compare what's in the spec against that coverage to create a list of additional opportunity recommendations. So white space within the spec, opportunities for additional claim coverage. And these are summarized. Here we get a summary, details from the spec that support it, and you'll see a section titled Market Value Research. This is a optional feature on these reports, but for each one of these opportunity recommendations, the tool will go out to the web and identify whether or not there are existing use cases or existing, say, market value that may exist. So you get a sense of what the value in the market for this particular embodiment may be, and they're given a score. These are not meant to be an ironclad evaluation of market value, but more a quick way to be able to prioritize which of the items may be more or less worth looking at, assuming market value is something that is useful in this determination. And now, if it's a product that is critical for, or it's a claim opportunity that is a critical piece of a new product, and it's not necessarily tied to anything in the market, then this analysis obviously may not have as much weight. But it gives you a way to kind of quickly go through and take a look at some things that may have value that you might not have otherwise caught initially. So you've got this opportunity analysis. And then after that section, we go into some compliance. This is driven off of, we keep a general like compliance checklist that is used for notice of allowance timeframes and that process. We can also take a custom compliance checklist based on the way you or your firm operates and let the tool use that to drive the compliance section to suggest any steps that might need to be taken at this point when handling the notice of allowance. Okay, then finally, we get a strategy recommendation. So basically, based on the analysis above, here's what the tool is suggesting maybe you look at first. Finally, as we get down to the end of the document, we get into a summary of critical path actions, some of the strategy pieces, what might need to be looked at for risk mitigation, gap coverage, what quick bullet points around what is or is missing from family coverage as well. And finally, it closes out with some budget and financial considerations, a next steps, high-level next steps checklist with timelines. And I like to include at the end of these, like a little audit section that identifies particularly which documents were used in this review, so you understand what the scope of the analysis is based upon. So this package, like I mentioned, is created at or soon after docketing, so that it can be delivered and ready for when an attorney wants to pick up the notice of allowance for next steps in moving the case forward. Now, what I want to show you next is a sneak preview to a more administrative side of the tools that we're working on. And this is a notice of allowance checklist and compliance tracking tool. Here's a screenshot on the right of some of the features that we're building into this tool. So there may be, if you've dealt with, particularly on the paralegal side, some of the compliance components of handling a notice of allowance, there's a number of things that you want to check before the case goes to issue. And this tool basically enumerates those steps, which is great, similar to a checklist for doing the same thing. But then, based on the data that we have, so the file wrapper, all of the contents of the documents in the file wrapper and the case metadata and the parents of the matter, we're able to automatically determine if any of the compliance steps are completed. So that might be double checking the claim counts versus what is identified in the notice of allowance. You'll see here if there's any examiner's amendment. Let's go on. Let's see. As we scroll down, reasons for allowance, what they were, the dates of filing, the names of the inventors. We'll compare the names of the inventors with the ADS and the notice of allowance. You don't see it on here, but also determining whether or not declarations were filed, determining whether or not assignments were filed, and we have declarations and assignments for every inventor, identifying the presence of a signature for each and every inventor on declarations and on assignments, which can sometimes be time-taking to do. The tools that we have are very quick at being able to do that. And then verifying things like bibliographic data and more. So most of the items that you would expect on a checklist will either be identified as passed or failed by the tool, or if it can't determine, then the tool provides the document for a human to be able to pick it up and run the confirmation from there. But the goal is effectively to reduce the administrative burden on the humans that are handling the notice of allowance compliance review, because it can be cumbersome. There's a lot of steps and there's a lot of things that need to be checked. And sometimes time is tight and you don't want to skip any of them. So being able to use a tool like this can be helpful. Some of these tools, as we roll them out, will be checks that are run specifically at the time of the issuance of the notice of allowance. Some of these, like what you're seeing here, can be run on a rolling basis during the pendency of the case, so that deficiencies can be handled at any time and not necessarily in a mad rush after notice of allowance and holding up issuance. Okay, with that, that brings me to the end of this session, and I'm going to open it up for any questions that folks might have.
So far, the chat is clear for questions.
Okay. I had one question come up, which was with the document bundle that gets created, are there any ways to adjust the analysis or interact with that? And the answer there is that because it's a Word document, obviously it's static. So the analysis is set in place. That being said, you can upload it and attach it into Otto IP and interact with it from there. So Otto IP will ingest it, use it as part of the analysis, and then you can say, hey, I want to take the additional opportunity recognition number 4 that got a nice high market value score, and I want to understand more about the market opportunity that exists there, or I want to create a claim set. Give me 2 independent claims on this particular opportunity. And you can then interact with it further in that way by combining the Otto IP tool with the document that gets created.
The chat is still clear of questions, just so you know, Tom.
All right. We will give it another minute or so. All right. I want to thank everybody for attending today. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out on any of our products, and look forward to future webinars with y'all. Have a great afternoon.